everyone, and welcome back to, I believe this is the 4th episode of my Let's Play of Murders on the Yangtze River. Video 4, but part 2 of the chapter that we're on, of the Haunted Furnace. When we last left off, I believe we had finished the initial first part of the case. That was just trying to figure out exactly what happened, and initially it had been ruled as a suicide by the journalist that we had just been introduced to, but now we've been, after refuting her claims and pointing out the problems with it, we are now at the second round of investigations. So let us begin. Shen, what should we do next? If Foreman Ting had already come to harm when the falling incident occurred, that proves that the second floor furnace area is most likely not the primary crime scene. We need to think of a way to find the primary crime scene. Alright, table. Let's take a look. This is the desk that Supervisor Ho moved. That is the desk that... Okay, if that is the desk that Supervisor Ho moved here temporarily, there's a headcloth on the desk. Supervisor Ho was using it to bag the money. There's an account book next to it. Let me take a look. Old Lee's wages were deducted a lot. The reason is because he skipped work multiple times. Awu's wages were the second most deducted for being late. Old Chow's have also been deducted. These are circumstances worth keeping in mind. Yep, motive and motive. Oh, Shen, this door leads to the backyard. Let's head over there and take a look. What? Oh, the ironworks back door. There we go. Okay. These gunny sacks are filled with lime. Okay, cool. How's the investigation going, you guys? We're still investigating, and there's some questions we wanted to ask you, Mr. Patrolman. However, we're short on time, so we hope that you can be straight with us. Where is this coming from? My headache is sometimes good and sometimes bad. Then is it good or bad right now? With a murderous suspect on the loose in the ironworks, Mr. Lee is already troubled enough. If there's anything you want to know, you can try asking me. Did Foreman Ting ever have a problem with anyone? There's quite a few. Let's count Awu in first. Was it because Foreman Ting was strict and paid Awu's wages late? Not entirely. Ting was stricter with Awu more than he was with anyone else, so Awu hated him. Foreman Ting came from the backwater countryside and was the youngest in his family. In the past 2 years, his family died of illness or old age. He was the last one left. He was also an old bachelor. There is no one to even handle his funeral affairs. Awu was also born into a poor family. He is clever. Everyone knows Ting treated him like a son. Alas, it's regrettable that Ting was obsessed with steelmaking. He was not considerate at all. Obviously, he meant well, but sometimes his words sounded harsh and mean. That's why Awu kicked over his shrine a while ago. So Foreman Ting was really quite alone. It sounds so pitiful. Other than Awu, who else did Foreman Ting have a dispute with? Old Lee was also quite stubborn, so these two stubborn old men often fought. Also, a while back, Foreman Ting even beat up that foreign boss from the laboratory. Thanks to his bad temper, he lost a job in the lab and became a labor foreman here. If there's any... Okay. Looks like we got everything out of that. Interesting, though. There is a uniform over here. It looks really dirty and it's all covered in rust. Only a worker in the charging area can make their clothes this dirty. Sir, do you know whom this clothing belongs to? You can ask around and see which worker came by the warehouse today. Are you sure this uniform was discarded today? I just cleaned this place up with old Chow and the others last night before we got off work. This situation is worth recording. Okay, uniform stained with rust found in the warehouse. Patrolman Ku claims it was discarded this morning. I'm sure it's pig iron underneath this tarpaulin. Huh? This isn't pig iron? Shen, there are rubber blocks piled underneath here. A large quantity of rubber. Is there a need for rubber in the process of steelmaking? Not at all. These rubber blocks belong to Mr. Lee. They're just temporarily stacked here. Afu, under our feet. Ah, these scraps of rubber. That means someone processed rubber blocks here. Weird. A file, a screwdriver, a saw, a wrench. There are a lot of tools placed on top of this chest. Was that supposed to rhyme? Do we get everything over here before we take the elevator to investigate more? Maybe? Let's look at the monument. This monument was erected when Hanyang Ironworks was first put into operation. At the time, there were quite a few foreign engineers who came to work at the ironworks. Okay. Let's go look at the elevator. Hold it right there, Mr. Shen. What's wrong, Mr. Patrolman? You can't go through. This elevator leads to the second floor. The conveyor door is locked. Even if you went up, you'd have to come back down. Well, okay. Let's look at all of what we have to go through right now. Old Lee said that Foreman Ting's death is related to the shrine in the office. I wonder what the shrine actually looks like. We will know once we go to the office and see for ourselves. Okay, so we have to go back there. Shen, once I saw those rubber blocks, I understood everything. The pungent grayish-white powder we found on site was the residue from the burning rubber. You mean to say that the murderer had set up a rubber rod there as a railing? The rubber I had seen in the past was soft and incapable of supporting the weight of a person. What we found in the warehouse was not just ordinary rubber, but vulcanized hard rubber. At ambient temperature, it can sustain a person's weight and won't easily become deformed. But once the outlet shutter is opened and the temperature close by rises rapidly, the rubber will then soften and deform, causing Foreman Ting to topple over. You know, I still think that he was dead already. From a distance, it would seem like the railing had suddenly disappeared. It appears the murderer is very familiar with what is stored inside the warehouse. Judging from the previous investigation, Foreman Ting was obsessed with steelmaking technology. Then again, all oddities related to the shrine also indicate that he was worshipping a statue. Maybe he was just too focused on achieving success. That's why he decided to go to extremes. Or perhaps the statue holds a different meaning for him? Even if the suspect used the ladle to stay undercover and avoid the sight of Old Chow and Ah Wu, how were they able to leave the scene completely undetected? After the incident, workers were fighting the fire in front of the furnace. They would have seen them if they walked out from the front. I believe their safest choice would be the elevator in the charging area behind the furnace. But Old Lee said that he didn't see anyone, we need to reinvestigate the surroundings of the charging area. Okay, so we have two goals right now, to check out the charging area and check out the office. No body, no autopsy. There's no way to know what unforeseen mishap Foreman Ting ran into. Shen, how are we supposed to find the primary crime scene? We don't even know if he was already dead or in a state of unconsciousness before he fell. We need to broaden the scope of our investigation. Let's look into places Foreman Ting had been before the incident. Shen, does wearing a headcloth even count as being suspicious? Wearing a headcloth in an ironworks not only prevents burns, but also reduces water loss. People do not make a change in habits lightly, not unless there's a particular reason. Foreman Ting is really unpopular. Nobody likes him. Feels like everyone has a motive. Okay, so we have to interview people and all that jazz. Okay, now that we got that done, let's go back inside and start investigating further. Okay, yeah, there's just the monument. This laboratory is huge. Well, speak of the devil. I was just telling Mr. Robinson about you two detectives. There are a few questions we'd like to ask Mr. Robinson. Of course, allow me to introduce you. This is Mr. Robinson, a chemist from England. He is also the head of this laboratory. Mr. Robinson, this is Mr. Shen. Beside him is his assistant Afu. Mr. Shen, I did hear thy deductions are marvelous. This case is still under investigation, so your cooperation would be greatly appreciated. Oh god, okay, not another character like this. I don't even know what the hell he's even saying. Like, if it's true, then I ought to help you with... If it be true, if that be true, there is I'm guessing I'm guessing he's just saying that there's something you can help with. Mr. Robinson, I'm also interested in chemistry. If there are some experiments that come to mind, can I borrow your laboratory table? Aye. God, okay. There are several test tubes and a scale on the laboratory table. Okay. Whoops. Okay, about yourself. Mr. Robinson, could I ask you to give us an introduction to the tasks of a chemist? To best be able to smelt metals, it's behooveful. I don't even, what the hell is this guy saying? It's good, okay. I'm just gonna like try to translate this in a way I can understand, because I do not, I know that British people have an accent, but they do not talk like this. To best be able to smelt metals, it's something to understand the composition of, okay, it's important to understand the composition of the mineral. Here deciding the ingredients, proportions, and which refining process to use. Mr. Robinson is saying before steel making, we need to know the composition. Okay. Then we need to decide on the ingredients, proportions, and which refining. Okay, so at least this guy's translating it, because I can't even read it. He is responsible for running tests on the composition of various minerals through chemistry. So Mr. Robinson is also in charge of the chemical testing for the quality of the steel rails, right? We do not have the arts to explore the caliber of steel rails. What Mr. Robinson means to say is that the Ironworks laboratory does not have the credentials to run tests on steel rails. Okay, credentials. Railway constructors, mainly foreign companies, have their own preferred testing institutions. The testing reports issued by our Ironworks are unable to get approved. You speak the truth, Ho. I heard that he once served as your assistant. Why was he transferred to the factory floor? Ting was very talented. I applaud his contribution as my aide. He did help me in many ways, and in return, I gave him bountiful rewards. Colloquial, so he didn't make it an unforgivable person. Okay. Basically, I think this guy's just talking about how. Okay, let's just see what hosts. No. Okay, so he was stealing money from, well, cutting people's, looks like he was cutting his, Mr. Roberts' wages too. It is still my notes, which hadn't much of this data of the essence. Oh no, he was stealing, materials and, not materials, what's it called? He was stealing things from the laboratory, okay. Oh my God, did he truly think that I would not find out? Everything here has a fixed placement. I did know of his trickery ahead of time. It sounds like Foreman Ting just wanted to gain more knowledge. The lab has its own rules. I do not like people who do not follow the rules. I must go to work in the factory floor. I'm used going to work on the factory floor. I don't even, what the hell is this guy in his, okay, no more. I don't want to talk to him. It's like excruciating. Mr. Ho, you seem to be quite familiar with Mr. Robinson. I speak a bit of Mr. Robinson's language, so sometimes I can help him with communications. Mr. Robinson is a very interesting person. I really enjoy talking to him. How is Foreman Ting's relationship with Mr. Robinson? Foreman Ting used to be Mr. Robinson's assistant, but their relationship was never too close. You both have probably already heard about Foreman Ting beating up Mr. Robinson a while ago. Oh, so is that guy? What was the specific reason for that? Foreman Ting came to ask Mr. Robinson in private to help him test the steel made by his methods. Mr. Robinson agreed and ran tests over and over again, but the results were unsatisfactory. Foreman Ting was quite stubborn and insisted that Mr. Robinson was being half-hearted. Mr. Robinson only meant to help, so naturally he resented Foreman Ting's accusations. Mr. Robinson's words became quite harsh. Foreman Ting was so angry that he beat up Mr. Robinson. The matter was only resolved when Mr. Lee stepped in. Sigh. After all, Foreman Ting was just too eager to achieve success. Okay. Cool. Look, Shen, it's a portrait of Zhang Qidong. Mr. Zhang advocates education and industry. He is a person I admire greatly. A stack of documents, a bottle of ink, and a quill pen are placed on the desk. Huh? This is a chemical test report for steel. Steel in this report is made by using coal from Westphalia. All indexes are up to standard. Steel in this report was made by a mixture of Chinese coke breeze and anthracite. What a shame, due to the high phosphorus content, fragmentation easily appears in the steel. It seems that the choice of fuel really affects the quality of steel. No shit. A complete account of iron manufacture, electricity. This bookshelf is full of technical books. The remaining documents are all in foreign languages. Natural philosophy is the first book I read about the study of physics. Miss Wen, are you also here to investigate the laboratory? I'm here for the photos. The camera was destroyed, but fortunately the film inside was untouched. Mr. Robinson from the laboratory helped me develop them. What kind of photos did you take? Can we have a look? I only took a few, and most of them are scenery shots. You can see for yourself. Shen, let's take a look at Miss Wen's photos. One moment. There are so few questions I would like to ask Miss Wen. Ask away, great detective. Are you writing a report on the ironworks? As you are writing a report on the ironworks, you must know of its recent developments. Well, of course, I'm a senior reporter. It's really difficult for national enterprises like the Hanyang Ironworks to develop and grow. They need to buy foreign equipment. Even mineral resources are controlled by foreigners. At the market, foreigners control the right to build most railways in China. They're the ones who decide whose steel rails to buy and what the standards of testing are. Take the Shanghai-Nanjing Railway with the British chief engineer, for example. The agreement specifies that the British in charge of purchasing take a commission of 5%. Naturally, the British will choose to buy Western products to gain more profit. When they purchase steel rails, they would nitpick at Hanyang Ironworks products. Recently, the ironworks is more competitive due to a new method that greatly reduces costs. However, rumors about the bad quality of its steel rails have sent ironworks to rock bottom. No wonder Deputy Minister Lee seems so anxious. That's why he hopes that my news report can help them restore their reputation. Okay. I wonder if we can look at the... Yeah. There are some paper ashes in the brazier that seem to have burned out not long ago. This brazier brings back some bad memories. On the left is a photo of Hanyang Ironworks freight dock. In the middle is a photo of the molten steel basin. We've seen this before. This photo was taken in the office on the furnace factory floor. The office in the photo looks different to what it's like now. Miss Wen, was this photo taken yesterday evening as well? Yep, what about it? This detail in the photo differs from how the office is now. That seems quite peculiar. See, now I don't remember. Was it this? Maybe? I don't know. I don't remember. Shen, the money bag and the money on the desk disappeared. Okay, yeah, I was right. Disappeared without a trace. This money was probably taken to pay wages, right? That's right, but there's nothing peculiar about that. Okay. Was it the statue or the person there? Was this here in the back? I think that was there. Is it the person? Okay. Whoops. Is it the... Nope. Point out, what's the hint? Okay, appears to be worn out, but it was different before. Oh, the map. Okay. Shen, the blueprints on the wall changed. In the photo, a flowchart of the steelmaking process was placed above the map. But now it's a working drawing of the open hearth furnace. Furthermore, the map in the photo looks evidently more worn down. Who did it? Why would they suddenly make such a change? When the incident occurred, I was in the office. The blueprints were switched out then. Shen, do you think this could be related to Foreman Ting's death? It's hard to believe that there is no connection whatsoever between these two. Could it be that the suspects did it? We cannot rule out the possibility that Foreman Ting did this. This guy again. Was it necessary for Foreman Ting to replace the flowchart with a working drawing? Could you not surprise me like that? Could you not avoid the subject? Answer me. Was it necessary for Foreman Ting to replace the flowchart with a working drawing? There was no need. Both furnaces are in operation. It didn't make any sense to hang the working drawing up again. Foreman Ting has no reason to change the blueprints, nor did other workers, unless the suspect did. Go on. Does the suspect have a valid reason to replace the blueprint? I don't think it was to destroy information, because since it's a map, it would be either to cover up the traces or to leave a message. I think it was to cover up traces. Was it to cover up traces on the wall? That's not right. Okay, so was it to leave a message? I've already examined it, nothing special. There should be another reason. Oh, so it is to destroy information. Okay. Weird. Clearly, there is some information on the paper that they did not want us to see. In order to destroy it, they switched out both of the blueprints. So, what kind of information was it? Nothing special about the two blueprints in the photo. No traces of handwriting on them either. Aside from its worn-out state, the map isn't the exact same. Aside from the worn-out state, the map is the exact same as the map on the wall now, which means perhaps information exists in some kind of hidden way. For example, ink that can only be shown under circumstances, or perhaps paper that has undergone special treatment. If there really is such hidden information, there would be no need to replace. Okay, I was wrong. It was left alone. The information could have only been left alone. After the photo was taken, new information appeared on the blueprints that were torn off. So what's the new information? There are too many possibilities. No, the suspect has only one reason to hide evidence. The hidden evidence will reveal their crime. Rumors say Ting was killed by ghosts, but he was most likely murdered before falling into the ladle. This means the new information appeared on the blueprint was... what would appear on... bloodstains, maybe? It was most likely bloodstains. The suspect is trying to make people believe Ting was killed by ghosts. If a bloodstain was found on the factory floor, their schemes would be exposed. Evidence. Give me evidence that supports your deduction. Evidence. What other evidence have I yet to consider? Evidence that could indirectly prove that the deceased was injured and bleeding is... The headcloth? That's right, Ting abnormally wore a headcloth this morning. The headcloth may have been used to cover up scars and bloodstains on his head. However, this is not enough to prove the hypothesis that I just made. Unfortunately, the body has been destroyed, otherwise an autopsy would reveal everything. Even if it's just a hypothesis, it at least tells us that the primary crime scene is most likely the office. I really want to know who that guy is. Shen, are you alright? Did your headache act up again? I'm fine. Just now I have understood something. It is most likely that the office was the primary crime scene. The blueprints were switched out because blood splattered across them. Whoa, so that's what it was. However, this is just a hypothesis. We need to find a way to prove it. If blood splattered on the blueprints, we should be able to find bloodstains on the wall. But we didn't find anything at all, so maybe it must have been wiped clean. If only we could find... Well, you're in a chemistry lab, and I happen to know that there are several ways to reveal bloodstains after the fact. Don't ask how I know that, I just do. But that means we're gonna have to fucking suffer through this asshole again. Or not. It's a chemistry lab. Okay, then why isn't it? It's really weird to me. Okay, there's nothing else here. Then let's go back to the let's go back to the interior of the ironworks. And back to the office. And I guess we could look at this two ingots. According to Awfully, the emergency will not be within. Okay, yeah, that's just. Your Honor, there are a few questions about the shrine that I would like to ask you. There is no harm in asking. I heard that Mr. Deputy Administrator was the one who arranged the statue. Foreman Ting repeatedly asked me to invite the gods in, and I couldn't argue with him. He was quite concerned about this and even built the shrine by himself. Who would know that after the gods were invited in, all these terrible things would happen? Excuse me. So Foreman Ting built the shrine and the altar by himself. Shen, we didn't check the altar beneath the shrine earlier. No matter, feel free to investigate it, as long as you can solve this case as soon as possible. Ooh, cool, we can rotate this. Behind the altar is a secret compartment. Should we do? Okay. Cool. Is that not how it opens? Maybe this one is... Yeah, that one was wrong. Whoops. I don't know why I thought it would work the other way. Look, Shen, there's a lot of containers and reagents in the secret compartment. It appears this is the true secret of the shrine. There are 3 bottles placed on the shelf, one of which has been sealed at the mouth. I can't read this label on the bottle clearly, so I'll open it. Oh, that's smart. There's a gunpowder smell. I got it, Shen. This bottle contains concentrated nitric acid. Cool. The two pieces of steel soaked in reagents seem to have been corroded. One of these labels says sample made by pig iron burnt with coal from Westphalia. The other label says sample made by a mixture of Chinese coke breeze and anthracite. Let's look at the top shelf. A crucible, an iron frame, a funnel, a beaker, a connoisseur flask, a dropper. These are all common appliances used for chemical experiments that have been placed on this shelf. Is there anything else here? Nope. Okay, let's return down and look at the bottom shelf. Ammonia, sodium hydroxide, these are all kinds of reagents placed on this shelf. Okay, I think we can safely return from that. It doesn't look like there's anything else on the top here, so... Ooh, that's actually something. There's a black mark on the partition board that feels hollow to the touch. This is a result of corrosion. Okay. I didn't expect there to be a whole set of chemical appliances hidden within the shrine. So he was actually secretly conducting experiments instead of worshipping gods. I never knew any of this. Mr. Deputy Administrator, would it be possible to ask you a few more questions? Go on, Mr. Shen. About the appliances. Has Mr. Deputy Administrator ever seen these chemical appliances in the shrine? I never knew that he was secretly conducting experiments. However, these appliances do look like the ones used in the laboratory in the backyard. Is it possible that Foreman Ting borrowed these from the laboratory? I can't be sure, but Foreman Ting used to be the assistant of Mr. Robinson, the chemist there. Later on, when we needed a foreman on the factory floor, Mr. Robinson recommended him. Is it not true that he was overqualified for the job as a foreman? It is indeed more laborious and dangerous to work in the factory floor than in a laboratory. However, he had a great enthusiasm for steelmaking. I recall you once said that he had always been studying open hearth steelmaking technology. Yes, he wanted to improve the formulation of steel to reduce costs and increase efficiency. The minerals obtained by our ironworks were mostly phosphate rocks left over by the Japanese. To produce good steel, we had to buy pricey phosphorus-free coke from the foreigners. Not only are production costs high, the quality has always been unstable. After we used open hearth process, the product quality has improved, but costs are still high. Ting suggested replacing foreign coke with a mixture of Pingxian coke breeze and anthracite. The steel would then be refined in the open hearth furnace as phosphorus is removed. The open hearth process uses the alkaline furnace, which is good for removing phosphorus. Nevertheless, this has nothing to do with the chemical appliances in the shrine. I heard from the workers that there was a problem with a batch of the products. Ting's method reduced costs by a third. We also did some tests on its mechanical properties. The results are good. Therefore, we trial produced a batch of steel rails. Good quality and low price helped us get orders from many railways. But that's when things went wrong? Ugh, indeed. The test report from London came back saying that there were quality problems with our products. The report says that the carbon content of the steel was too low to be durable. The phosphorus content was too high and has prospects of fragmentation. As a result, the construction company for the railways refused to accept our steel rails. The public also accused us of cutting corners on such an important matter. I felt so ashamed. Okay, I think, whoops. This is actually on auto right now. Let me turn that. Whoops, no, I did not want to put that on auto, sorry. I thought it was on auto, I got distracted. So he was actually secretly conducting experiments instead of worshipping the gods. Well, thank you, Mr. Deputy Administrator. Afu and I shall continue investigating following this clue. Me when I say dogs instead of gods, but you know, I'm not even gonna finish that, I'm sorry. Shen, I know the principle behind the shrine unleashing its powers. Is it related to the chemical reagents inside the cabinet? Exactly. These so-called powders of the shrine are actually... See, I barely passed high school chemistry, so I don't know. I mean, like, we know that there was that, yeah. Okay, so yeah. That's what it was. Remember when Awu kicked the shrine? I bet he accidentally knocked over the concentrated nitric acid in the cabinet. The acid has a gunpowder smell. When it evaporates, it produces a yellowish white smoke. If that's the case, then Awu fell ill because he inhaled acid. Yes, nitric acid harms the respiratory tract. Awu was close by it, so Awu was close by. He probably inhaled a lot. They are afraid of ghosts and don't know chemistry. It's easy for them to be superstitious. Afu, that's good deducing. Classic me. Okay. No body, no autopsy. There's no way to know what unforeseen mishap Ting ran into. Shen, how are we supposed to find the primary crime scene? We don't even know if he was already dead or in a state of unconsciousness before he fell. We need to broaden the scope of our investigation. Apparently, worshipping the shrine behind closed doors was just a cover. Ting was actually conducting some kind of chemical experiment in secret. But there's a laboratory in the factory. Why didn't he just go there to conduct experiments? Obviously, he did not want anyone to know. He must have had a reason. I think, because you know what, downside of digging through the files is that you see things that you don't want to see. Awu, what are you doing here? Did you just say that the foreman was murdered? At the present, it is highly likely that he was murdered. Mr. Shen, you'll believe what I say, right? Yes. I remembered something strange. My master doesn't let me say much, and I'm not sure if this is important or not. There's no one else here, Awu. Be at ease and tell us. This morning I noticed that the crane hook was not stationed at its usual position. Where is the crane hook usually positioned? It's supposed to be between furnace number 1 and furnace number 2. But when I got there this morning, I saw the crane hook stationed in front of furnace number 2. Is it possible that someone used the crane hook during working hours? Not likely. No one would move the crane hook if we weren't casting ingots. So you suspect that someone used the crane hook last night? That's right. Thank you, Awu. This really helps with our investigations. Anyway, hurry up and find that murderer. Let's go back up to the second floor platform because I think we had to reinvestigate that anyway. Yeah, we need to talk to the old Lee. There are still a few questions I'd like to ask you about this morning's incident. If there's anything else you'd need to ask, then just ask. Okay, brief analysis. So you're saying Foreman Ting was murdered? It wasn't because he provoked that thing in the shrine? Of course, you went to the office and nothing happened. Old Lee, between last night and this morning, have you noticed anything unusual? Or perhaps have you heard any strange noises? Nothing unusual or any strange noises. Were you working at the second floor furnace area all night? Yes, sometimes I take a break, but I never left, not even for a second. I spent the whole night on the second floor and found nothing unusual. This conflicts with this. The movements of the crane hook are exceedingly noisy. If you were really here all night, how could you have not known that someone used the crane hook last night? Unless you were the person who moved the crane hook. It wasn't me. Last night, I did in fact leave the second floor furnace area. Where did you go? I stayed up past midnight. I was very hungry and I went to the dock to have a midnight snack. No way, if you left, who was looking after the furnace? The furnace could be unattended for an hour after materials are shoveled in. Patrolman Ku can prove it. Whenever I'm on duty, we go to the dock together around that time. I swear, I'm not lying. We'll trust your words for now. Is there anything else that you're hiding from us? No. Old Lee, have you ever opened the conveyor door after the incident? Well, that's... If you keep fumbling, it'll just increase our suspicions. Well... Fine then. After the incident, I did open the conveyor door without permission. The fire was so intense. It's only natural that I fear death. Oh, Lee, it's only human nature to flee for your life, but why did you keep this a secret earlier? There are rules of operation that require workers to put out the fire as a priority. I didn't have the guts to stay, but I was also afraid they would cut my pay. I have a family to support, so many mouths to feed. Be at ease, Old Lee. We just want to uncover the truth. We do not intend to cause you any trouble. Yeah, thanks a lot. After the incident, Old Lee had opened the conveyor door, so the suspect probably left through it. The splashes of molten steel make it impossible to pass through the stairs in front. For a long time after the incident, the conveyor door was the only way to leave the second floor. Shen, I understand now. There is only 3 possibilities. The murderer was Old Lee, someone Old Lee covered for, or someone left the scene after Old Lee. Shen, doesn't this mean that the person who didn't arrive at the scene immediately after the incident is the most suspicious? That is true. Even if that person was not Old Lee, they would be someone who was quite familiar with Old Lee. That is why he could predict Old Lee's behavior and use it to his advantage to carry out the plan. Old Lee, the factory floor is already quite arid. Why is there a tarpaulin covering the iron? Ting instructed us to do so. He was afraid the bulk material on the iron would be mixed up. Okay. I think we go talk to the patrolman now to verify Old Lee's story. There's no need to really investigate the other things right now. Hopefully he's still there. Okay. Old Lee claims that whenever he is on duty, he goes to the dock with you to eat midnight snacks. You know about that already? Was that the case last night? We were just taking a little break. Okay. So we did verify that. Good to know. What else can we investigate then? We should probably go back to the laboratory, actually. Let's go, let's do that. I'm gonna suffer with this, dumbass. Okay, I guess we don't need to. Let's just double check. Nope, okay. Weird. Oh, I never checked the appliance cabinet. A variety of reagents are displayed in the cabinet. Hydraulic acid, nitric acid, sulfuric acid, ammonia, hydrogen peroxide. They really do have everything. Afu, what kind of experiments are these reagents used for? They're mainly used to test the composition of minerals and steel. I see. Shen, are you alright? I am fine. I just remembered a few unpleasant memories. As long as you're fine. Shen, I just found a bottle of reagent that's quite rare. Perhaps it can be of use. Shen, I got an idea. In my father's notes, I once read about an ammonia powder that glows when it reacts with blood. I never thought this laboratory would have it. See this one. The scientific name for it is 3-aminopathohydrazide. That is a word. I can try to prepare a blood detection reagent. That would be wonderful. Let's go borrow Mr. Robinson's laboratory table. Fun. I wonder what that was. It's time to prepare the blood detection reagent. Remember, left for items, right for weights. I just need to follow my father's notes step by step. I am sure it will be made perfectly. Okay, is this the 2 gram? Okay, let's start with. Okay, 1 we need and all. Let's put up the 2 grams here. Can we put this? Nope, okay. 2 grams, okay. And then we need 90 milligrams of H2O. How do you measure that though? Like, not to be stupid, but oh no, 2 is the 6 grams. Okay. Then we need 1, 2, 3 is. Okay. 90 milliliters of water. $50. It's $80. Oops, I think the components I'm using weren't quite right. Let me redo it just to be safe. Oh, okay, but I need 90, so how do I get that extra? Nope, that's 110, that's not what I wanted. 60. Okay, there we go. Oh boy. And then 40 milliliters of this. 50. Think. Nope. Okay. Reset the test tubes. Start with 30 and. Nope. 80, but we need half of that, right? Yeah. Nope. Okay. We have 30 left in this test tube. But if we... Because that could only be 50, but we need 40. Maybe? No. Okay. That's just... Okay. Okay, I'm just dumb. I'm sorry. That took a while. Classic me. The blood detection reagent is all done. Excellent. Let's go to the office for verification. I do find the mini games fun though, but like, I'm just gonna be a bit slow with with doing some of them, I think. Mr. Deputy Administrator, we suspect that the office was the scene of the crime. We need to detect blood. Shall we close the door and windows and turn off all the lights? As long as it contributes to uncovering the truth, do whatever is convenient for you two. After we spray the blood detection reagent throughout the room. Look, Shen, it's blood. Blood on the walls and on the floor. Is everything that is glowing a blood stain? It appears that we need to reinvestigate this room. Enjoy. The bloodstains on the wall are mainly cast-off pattern bloodstains with a wide range. Preliminary judgment of the murder weapon was not a knife but a blunt object instead. That does make sense. Could the murder weapon be something inside this room? If it is an object in this room, the murderer probably committed a crime of passion. Well, because... Shen, these two bloodstains look really strange. This one looks like a symbol drawn on the bloodstained floor. The other one looks like a stamp, and it feels somewhat familiar. Something that could leave such a large bloodstain should be a murder weapon, right? This is highly possible. Afu, this trace is very important and needs to be specifically recorded. No problem. What if it was the because I remember vaguely from the past time I was playing this with the first part of the case, where the only thing that was like abnormal was the inkstone on the desk, because that was the only thing that was like clean, if I remember. But let's look at the cast-off patterns. These two long cast-off pattern bloodstains on the board of name badge. The cast-off range is wider than any of the cases I have seen before. Shen, the name badges are blocking the bloodstains. Shall I take them down and test them? Sure, but keep a record of the hanging positions of each name badge. Understood. The hanging positions could also be clues. I've already tested all the name badges, and there weren't any reactions to blood. The bloodstains on the copper border are continuous and unobscured. Shen, does this mean that the crime took place before the workers started work? You are correct. Oops. Let's look at the one here. The wall with blueprints has a cast-off pattern bloodstains as expected. The cast-off range is quite wide, so the murder weapon seems to be something that was very long. I'll take down the map and paste it back on later. The bloodstain on the wall stops when it reaches the map. The murderer really switched out the blueprints to hide the bloodstains. Shen's deduction is incredible. There's a blurry bloodstain on the floor with uneven thickness. This is a swipe pattern bloodstain left by the murderer when they cleaned up the crime scene. You see, those parallel lines at the edges are swipe marks. Scattered spots surrounding the blurry bloodstain that seem to be projected bloodstains. This is the result of blood colliding and splattering all around. Joy to the world. Such traces often appear at the scene where the victim is repeatedly hit by a blunt instrument. Isn't it so fun to learn things? I'm having fun. A blurry bloodstain on the floor must have been left by the murderer when cleaning the scene. Scattered spots surrounding the blurry bloodstain that seem to be... Okay. They often appear at the scene where the victim is repeatedly attacked by a blunt instrument. Same thing. But we're missing something else. Okay, well... What else are we missing? Ooh, the shrine, okay. Shen, I have a bold hypothesis. Go on. My instinct tells me that the murder weapon was the statue of Ganjiang and Mo Yi. Or is that Ye? The weight is appropriate, but the shape seems to be a bit short. You can try to test it. Afu examined the shrine and the statue closely. There's no luminous reaction at all. I guess it wasn't the statue. If only my instincts were as sharp as Shen's. I do not rely on my instincts to solve cases, though. What else? So there was the display shelf. Oh yeah. Shen, do you think the steel rail sample on the display shelf could be the murder weapon? You might as well try testing it. I'm afraid I can't. What is the matter? If the reagent is applied to the steel rail, the results might be inaccurate. Interesting. Let's talk. Okay. We have already examined all the places that could be investigated within the ironworks. It's time to ask Deputy Administrator Lee to gather everyone for a discussion. Joy. By gathering us all here, I'm sure Mr. Shen has come to a conclusion. There is no time to waste. Please begin right away. Throughout investigations, we can confirm that the death of Foreman Ting was the result of a murder. The furnace area where Ting's falling incident occurred was actually the secondary crime scene. The murderer used a mechanism to make Ting jump into the ladle, staging a suicide. The presumed disappearing railing was actually a fake railing that was made from rubber. We found a batch of hard rubber blocks in the warehouse, as well as traces of processing them. This kind of vulcanized rubber won't easily deform at room temperature, but when molten steel flows out, the rubber will gradually soften due to the burning heat. The softened rubber railing wouldn't be able to sustain any weight at all. Ting's falling caused an explosion, burning up the rubber railing, which disappeared completely. The grayish white powder we found on site was the residue from the burning rubber. Those rubber blocks belonged to Hubei Arsenal and are stored here temporarily. Who knew that it would be used by someone with ulterior motives? This proves that the murderer knows the warehouse inventory like the back of their hands. After the incident, Lee could not withstand the heat and opened the conveyor door. So all the murderer had to do was take the elevator after Lee left to make their getaway. If the murderer was on the second floor the entire time, how come Lee never noticed them? That is because they were able to find a perfect hiding spot. The murderer must have hidden in this location. See, I kind of already know where I think it might have been because of when I was digging through the asset files. I try not to, I think I figured out how to navigate those files so that I won't be spoiled and again. But from what I remember, it was one of these heaps. Yeah, okay. Oh god. Maybe? Okay, yeah. This is a sheet of dust cover. At the time, the murderer hid underneath it along with the body. The furnace charger would have found them once he went to shovel materials. It takes 8 hours to purify steel in a furnace. Iron is required in the beginning. After that, only substituting materials are needed. Yes, that's right. There's no need for me to go back after I've shoveled the iron. This murderer is quite familiar with the steel making process, huh? Based on what Mr. Shen said, wouldn't it be easy to say that Old Lee was the murderer? That's true, he's the only person on the second floor. It would be easy for him to hide a body. It wasn't me, it's just like putting a can gauge on an innocent man. I've been wronged. Mr. Shen, you know you know this more than anyone else. It really wasn't me. Considering this piece of evidence, I believe Old Lee was not the murderer. Present evidence. What evidence? Yesterday evening, well, No, because midnight versus evening. Maybe the bloodstains in the office? I don't know, because evidence can prove that Lee is innocent. Does anyone see the yep. Okay, that was dumb. Okay, yeah. This new uniform stained with rust was discarded by someone and left in the warehouse. Only the chest and knees area of the uniform were stained extensively with rust, and rust only appears on the heap of iron scrap. It suggests the wearer lying on his front in the iron heap. If Old Lee was the murderer, there would be no need for him to hide in the iron heap. Indeed, his job is there anywhere, and it's not unusual for Old Lee to be stained with rust. Instead, a person who doesn't usually wear a uniform is more likely to do so, which means the murderer most likely isn't a worker. Yet they are familiar with the inventory of the warehouse and the steelmaking process. Miss Wen, being able to forge a suicide note should also be taken into consideration. Oh, of course. The murderer not only can write, but it is also capable of imitating others' handwriting. It appears that Shen has come to a conclusion. Please identify the murderer as soon as possible. Oh boy. Someone that can write and is familiar with him, right? So we can say that it was none of the workers. So that leaves out Li, Chao, Yanwu, and obviously Ting didn't kill himself. But there's still Mr. Robinson, Patrolman Ku, and Li, and Ho. We know that he already he does the bookkeeping. He does the bookkeeping, so he knows how to. And obviously there's the Robinson too, and we know that he has the motive to do it. I'm gonna go and first say that I think maybe Robinson, but I'm not 100% sure. The murderer was Robinson. He is familiar with the steelmaking process, and he had a dispute with Foreman Ting. He doesn't need to wear a worker's uniform, so he had to change into one to hide in the heap. However, Mr. Robinson does speak and write with a Shakespearean accent. I understand for there's no way he could have written a suicide night like Jan. There's no fixed working hours. Shit. Okay. I was not diligent in my judgment. I shall thinketh again. So then if it wasn't him, see, part of me wants to go with Wen, but I know that it probably wasn't. I don't think it was her. My whole basis of wanting to go with Wen is because she might be like the Irene Adler of this thing. That is not a good reason. Ho, maybe? That was my second thought. The prime suspect of the case, Mr. Ho, does meet all conditions, especially one about imitating handwriting. I believe that Mr. Shen is probably mistaken. If Foreman Ting was murdered, the murderer had to drag his body to the second floor. I'm just a feeble scholar, so it would have been impossible for me to do so. That would not be so difficult as long as you use this for support. The crane hook? But how would that be used as support, though? The lever? But that can be moved. Maybe, let's see. After charging materials in the furnace, Old Lee usually takes a break from the work for 1 hour. You knew about Old Lee's habits, so you took advantage of Old Lee's absence. Started the crane hook, then transported the corpse to the second floor furnace area. If Mr. Shen thinks that I'm the murderer, then fine, go on and regard me as the murderer. I entrusted him to investigate this case. This is his duty to report suspicious people. If you have any objections, it would be best that you prove your innocence. You do not need to force Supervisor Ho to prove innocence, Mr. Deputy Administrator. Since I suspect Supervisor Ho, naturally I will provide evidence to prove it. A gentleman should not be humiliated. There's no need for hypocrisy, Mr. Shen. In that case, would Mr. Ho be willing to have a debate with me? True gold does not fear fire. I shall not succumb to your injustice. Well, we're on to something because we got this far. May I ask the reason for Mr. Shen's... Oh god. You're the most consistent with the features of the murderer. I read the book, The System of Logic. Actions need to be logical. All features of the murderer, summarized before. If you insist that these are the characteristics of the murderer, I do indeed fit the requirements. However, that doesn't mean that I must be the murderer, does it? For example, steel rail is very sturdy and made of iron. There's a characteristics. Not anything sturdy and iron made can be called a steel rail, can it? That is a typical fallacy, Mr. Shen. What do you reckon? You're overgeneralizing. Based on only 2 features, iron made unsturdiness, there is no way a complete deduction can be made. Aren't you the same, Mr. Shen? Haven't you heard the story of the blind field elephant? How could they react when someone clear-sighted appears? You're wrong. How am I wrong? The so-called features of the murderer that you claim of are just pieced together by rumors and sayings. There's no logic behind them at all. You're the one who is actually overgeneralizing. Fuck. Okay. It's made of iron, that's characteristics. False equivalence. People are people and steel is steel. There is a complexity to the actions of people. The characteristics that are reflected cannot possibly be compared with steel rails. Mr. Shen, I just want to know, so you think that anything sturdy and iron made is steel rail? Of course not. All things, but consequently, no, not everyone knows the warehouse arrives late as the murderer. This is a big difference between people and steel. Even so, the difference between people in endless varieties, all the various features of the murder you listed. That's just one of the many possibilities, but identifying someone as a murderer with only a few possibilities, isn't that too rash? Okay, we failed that one. So it's that misinterpretation. Mr. Ho, you are refuting a covert replacement of my proposition. When I said that, what I said was a man with features of the murderer is not necessarily a murderer, but the murderer must be among those who meet such features. All people who meet these characteristics are all suspects of being the murderer. Mr. Shen, you keep blurting words suspect and murderer. You're the one who is misleading. Your so-called deductions all speculate based on testimony. There's no evidence to prove that a murder actually occurred, right? The crane hook thing is based on a one-sided statement by Ah Wu. The murderer can only leave after Old Lee left, as speculation from Old Lee. As for the suicide note being forged, that's just your prejudiced assertion. Why is my testimony being equally considered along with theirs? Why isn't? Okay, shit, I missed it. I missed it reading. Okay. Let's do this again quickly. You can pause and read this. I'm not going to be reading it to focus on this. Great. Okay, give me more time. Shen, I told you how costly it is. Each day the furnace is not in operation, a fortune will be lost. At present, without any evidence, why would we give you the time of day at such a huge cost? Mr. Lee, time is of the essence. Please make your decision as soon as possible. You two differing opinions, but his things work are more reasonable. I must focus on the bigger picture and resume production soon. This matter ends now. No further discussion. Okay, that went really, yeah, that's a timed thing. So let me go through this really quickly. For support, we know it was that. After charging the furnace. Okay.
君子不可。既然如此，真金不怕火炼。敢问沈先生怀疑在下的理由是什么？
沈某之所以视何先生为最大嫌疑人，是因为何先生最为符合前序调查所总结之凶手特征。
在下也曾读过《穆勒明学》一书，知道推论要讲逻辑，气力不大，熟悉仓库，懂炼钢，晚到现场。非要说这是凶手特征的话，在下的确是符合条件的。不过，这不等同于我就是凶手吧？正如钢轨的主要成分为铁，
何先生这是在偷换概念。我所述的是最大嫌疑人，而非凶
Princess,
手。
but not the
当然
murderer.
具
Okay.
备凶手特征的人不必然
It's
成为
not
凶手，
necessary.
但凶手却必定存在于满足此类特征的人之中。这样的人都有成为凶手的嫌疑。
Okay. Mr. Shen, you keep
一口一个凶手，
words.
这才是真正的偷换概念，误导众人。你所谓的推理都是基于证言的猜测而已，其实没有证据能证明发生了命案吧？
确认命案是因为在这个尸场中发现了血迹，这才是案发的第一线。
This is the actual primary scene of the
这
crime.
怎么可能？
阿福制作了一种显血试剂，遇血之后会发光。
哪有这样的药剂？我怎么没听说过？你不过是在虚张声势。
会办大人可是亲眼见证了我们调查的过程哦，这还不信？要不要我当面测给你看啊？即便是很久以前的擦洗过的血，也能显现出来哦。
很久以前，
Oops. Afu, what did you do?
阿福小兄弟说的没错呀，那可能是很久之前的痕迹。若是很久以前的痕迹，怎能认定昨晚发生过命案呢？没有证据能证明这些痕迹是昨晚产生的。
沾血的工牌板可以证明血溅的时间。工牌板上有血迹，而工人的工牌上却无血迹，这说明凶案发生在上工前。
在上工前又如何？小兄弟刚刚已经说了，他的药剂能验出很久之前的血迹，就姑且假设验出的痕迹是血迹吧。我想请问沈先生，有没有可能所谓的血迹是在很久之前就燃烧？所谓的上工前，具体又是哪一日上工前？没有证据能证明这些痕迹是。
我们在地面上的血迹中发现了某种符号，它可以证明血溅的时间。
Maybe, I don't know for
沈先生倒是提
sure.
醒我了，
We
你说
have
的符号
some
看起来
chances
本身是某
left.
种图腾，而老丁笃信干将莫邪，每日都要将自己反锁在公事房内祭拜。若是祭拜的话，可能会用鸡血画符号吧。阿福小兄弟，你的事迹能区分人血和鸡血吗？
Nope.
看来是不能了。你们非说这屋里发生过凶案，是不是太过武断了呢？
Yep, okay, so...
我能证明血溅的时间。公事房门边墙上的血迹到图纸处就中断了，图纸后面的墙上也没有发现任何。
I don't know why I didn't think of the blueprints at first.
墙上的图纸曾被人替换过。中断部分的血迹存在于被换掉的图纸上，而墙上图纸被替换的时间就在昨晚。
那也说明不了什么呀。谁知道被替换的图纸上是不是早就有血迹了？我印象中的那2张图纸可是污迹斑斑哦。
何先生，你还是没有意识到问题的关键。我之所以能确定图纸被换的时间，是因为昨天傍晚文记者曾拍下公事房的照片，照片中墙上贴的是旧图纸。
Yep, the photographic evidence.
说明血溅的时间就在昨晚。
Wild.
沈先生能
You have a silver tongue, Mr. Shen. I admit defeat.
这么
So
说，
you're pleading guilty?
此言差。
That's not the case.
在下只是
All I
说了
did was
辩论
lose the debate. Where's the crime in that?
况且
Moreover, the debate we had just now is inherently based on assumption.
什么
What
叫
assumption?
小兄弟
That
口
little
中的事
Afu's
情
reagent is actually able to detect bloodstains. I studied chemistry in the ironworks school, and I have read countless foreign books. I have seen a number of fluorescent dyes, but I've never heard of a blood detection reagent. It's possible that it's just a street trick like changing the color of water or something.
我的事情
How is my reagent just a street trick now?
主要成分
It's mainly composed of luminol and hydrogen peroxide. The iron in blood can catalyze the decomposition of hydrogen peroxide and generate monooxygen.
三氧又
Monooxygen can oxidize luminol, and that's what makes it glow.
你既然
You should understand the principle behind it since you've read
也
books.
就是说
So that means the detection of blood is actually the detection of iron? Shit, that's right. Even the tiniest amount of iron can be detected. Little Afu, this is an ironworks. Iron is everywhere.
刚 定铁器之类的。
Generally, steel ingots and ironware won't give false positive, but rust or iron reagents will. Fermenting used to conduct experiments in the office that even resulted in explosions. It's also possible that some reagent containing iron was splashed at the time. Well, that could be possible. But the pattern of the blood stain, you can't even be sure that they're blood stains.
和血迹型。
What's there to say about the pattern? It's hard for Mr. Shen's deduction to convince me. This thing also has certain truth to his words.
大人，
Your Honor, in my humble opinion, all of Mr. Shen's deductions are just as mere assumptions. Your Honor, murder is a serious crime. This matter shall not be handled carelessly. It would be inappropriate to act with undue haste.
先生，
Shen, it's my fault for being thoughtless. A reagent
确实可以
containing iron will indeed cause luminol to glow.
现在
Who insists that a murder didn't take place, and Mr. Lee seems like he is almost convinced now. What should we do?
咱们再想别的
We
办
need
法。
to think of another way to prove it.
没有尸
No
体
corpse and bloodstains
尸
aren't.
体又不被认可
No corpse and bloodstains aren't being taken into consider. What else is there to prove?
凶器
A murder weapon.
使出凶
Once
器
a，murder weapon is identified, we can prove that it was homicide.
不愧是
You're the
先生
best, Shen. You got an idea right away. But how can we find the murder weapon in such a short amount of time?
对手那
The
么
suspect is
狡
too
猾
cunning that they
肯定已
must
经把
have
血迹
destroyed
销毁掉了。
already destroyed the murder weapon.
凡有接触
All contact leaves traces. Evidence is not non-existent, but instead uncovered.
以本
All
物之
objects and all images settle in different locations subsequently.
这个
Yep.
图形
This figure actually looks quite familiar.
会留下这么大血
Something
迹的
that could
东西
have something that could leave such a large bloodstain should be the murder weapon, right?
我知道了，
It's clear to me now the murder weapon was. Okay, so it's something we have on it. But what could? Oh yeah. I said this already. The thing on the weight. Because it was that. Yep.
凶器在
This is the murder weapon.
这如何
How
能
is this
成为
supposed to
凶
be
器
used as a murder weapon?
Shen
Mr. Shen
Shen.
is best you can consider. But
我知道了，
wasn't it the only thing that was clean? Pattern of a certain item matches the pattern of the bloodstain. Well, the pattern of the bloodstain is the cross thing, right? But the shutter level, like, that doesn't make sense. Like, why would it? Because none of this makes sense. Like, do we miss a piece of evidence? Well, I mean, that's the only thing that could be. It could be, right? It was long.
凶器在此，
Murder. This is the murder weapon. How is this supposed to be a murder weapon? Mr. Shen moves as you reconsider.
我知道了，
Okay, let's. Did we miss evidence? Because there's like 3 things missing here. I wonder. I'm just gonna see. Office photo or silver coins? What? Oh, the money bag. Doi.
凶器
The murder weapon was silver coins. Ha 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 ha. Silver coins? Did you really believe that money makes the mayor go?
何先生，
Mr. Ho,
这不是
there's
普通
not.
人员
These are not just ordinary silver coins, but the wages received from you.
房地面的
There were
血迹
2 blood-stained symbols on the floor, one of which appears on the silver coin.
可是沈先生，
How could a few silver coins be able to kill anyone, Mr. Shen? This piece of evidence. Okay, and then it's the. Okay. There we go.
让银元成为
The
凶
key
器
to
的
making
关键
silver coins a murder weapon lies within this. Mr. Shen, if there's any mystery within this photo, please point it out directly. The money bag.
一枚银元
Maybe impossible to kill with one coin, but a bag of coins is enough to be a murder weapon.
诸位请看，
Please see here, this is the emblem of the Hanyang Ironworks on the money bag.
这是在现场
This is another bloodstain found on the crime
其
scene.
中的符号与铁
Its
厂
pattern
标志的下半部
is perfectly consistent with the lower half of the Ironworks emblem on the bag.
凶手在行凶之
After the
后
killing, the
将
murderer
沾血的
put the
钱袋放在
bloodied
地上
bag into the
因此留下了痕迹。
After killing, the murderer put the bloodied bag onto the floor, leaving behind a trace.
什么钱袋？
What money bag? What silver coins? Mr. Ho, if the money bag wasn't the murder weapon, why did you add the wages and the head cloth? So I recognize the money bag in the photo. It's indeed something you often use. What's going on? Where is your money bag? Mr. Lee, Supervisor Ho suggested you pay the wages in advance to reassure the people,
实际上是为了
when in
收回
reality it was to dispose of the murder
行
weapon.
为足以说
This
明
behavior alone is enough to show that. Ho has saying you are the murderer.
大人，
Your Honor, I accidentally ripped the corner of the money bag this morning due to my negligence. To prevent losses of silver coins, I used a head cloth to wrap around the money instead.
那破损的钱袋，
I got rid of the damaged money bag without a second thought. You destroyed it, didn't you? The blood on the silver coins can be washed away, but the bloodstain on the money bag can't.
血迹
Blood is there? What blood is there? Don't forget, young boy, you're a reagent.
无法确定地
Can't
上的
determine
痕迹
whether
是
the traces on the floor are bloodstains or a reagent containing iron.
真不懂
I seriously have no idea how you came to the conclusion that I'm the murderer.
说到底，
In the end, you have no conclusive evidence to connect the matter to me. You.
看来
The only way to nail him down is to find direct evidence that proves Supervisor Ho was involved.
什么样的证
What kind of evidence could it be?
不如由
How about I help you sort out the events of this case?
不必了，
There is no need.
我自己就可
I
以
can do this myself.
回顾案件发
Review
生
the
的
whole
过程
case and figure out which part of the murder's plan would leave
再
traces.
把能证
Then I
明
need to present the evidence that proves Supervisor Ho was involved. In the office, he murdered Ting with a bag of coins, then carefully cleaned up the crime
然后
scene.
细致的趁老李离开，
When Old Lee was away, he used the crane hook to move the body to the
并
second
想起
floor.
他在仓库
He
中
shaved rubber in the warehouse and set up the rubber railing before working
完
hours.
成后，
Once finished, he hid in the iron cupboard with the petroleum, waiting for the right moment to appear.
开始浇筑钢钉
When the
时，
casting began, he used the ladle to recreate the incident and hid behind the corridor.
老李去屏
Old
幕
Lee
证
went to check on the explosion. He hid behind the iron
他在仓库
heap.
内防，最后
Finally, after Old Lee left, he used the elevator to flee the
他
scene.
在利用升降机离开现场。
The uniform.
核磁是一定
Supervisor
穿
Ho
过的
must have worn that uniform. How did I prove he wore the uniform
如果
before?
无法证明，
This cannot be proved to a quantifiable.
别的
Is
证
there
据
no
能证
other
明。
evidence to prove he once hid inside the iron heap? What's the hint again? The blood oh
决定
yes.
性的证据就在核
The
磁
conclusive
身上
evidence lies on playing on Supervisor Ho's person. Okay.
要是没什么事
If
的
there's
话，
nothing else, I'll be taking my leave.
且慢，
Hold on.
沈先生
What
还有
else can I
特
do
权
for you, Mr. Shen?
既然你坚
Since
称
you
自己没有
insist that you're
杀人，
not
为证
did not
清
murder anyone, to prove your innocence,
合伙
could
让
you
阿
allow
福检测
Afu to
下
test your hair and clothes?
沈仲平，
Shen Chongping, you're going too far. Since you're innocent, why would you be afraid of a test?
大人，
Your Honor, I did not murder anyone. It's only natural that bloodstains won't be detected on me, but I'd rather die than be humiliated. That's strange. It seems like that by doing so, your innocence will be restored. That the ancients were willing to break all the bones in their body to prove their innocence. You're telling me that you're afraid of a few drops of reagent, Mr. Ho? I'm completely innocent. Of course I'm not afraid.
大人，
I also need a staff member in the ironworks to take this test. Best
最好不是
someone
官
who
员
isn't a worker. Patrolman could cooperate with them. Sure thing. I'll use the reagent to test Supervisor Ho and Patrolman Ku respectively. Oh look, Supervisor Ho is glowing.
难道在
Could
他
it
的
be
衣
that
服
blood is detected from his clothes? That's impossible. I've never been stained with blood. What made the Lumo glow was not blood,
而是残留在
but the
核
fact
磁
that
石
the
身上的
rust
体
was
现
left over. But in fact, rust that was left over on Supervisor Ho.
这是决定性的证据。
This is conclusive evidence. What? What are you talking about? Mr. Ho, the iron and rust will also cause the luminol to glow. This is something you yourself have been repeatedly emphasizing moments ago. There's a very crucial part of your plans. To avoid running into Old Lee, you had to hide underneath the turtle pin multiple times. All contact leaves traces. There's a rusty steel scrap underneath the trolleum. Even if you wore a uniform on the outside, the cuffs of your sleeve, the hems of your clothes, and your hair were bound to be stained. I'm working in the ironworks all year round. It's only normal for me to be stained with iron. I knew you would say so, which is why I asked the patrolman to act as a control in the experiment. He also works in the ironworks, yet there is little to no luminol reaction on him. How would you explain this then? Well, that's... When I was making an inventory of iron ore this morning, I accidentally tripped and fell. I guess the cuffs and hem of my shirt were dirty then. How could there have been such a coincidence? Sometimes it's just the luck of the draw. Mr. Ho, did you fall so that rust got all over your braid? I slipped and fell on my back. You just lied and gave yourself away, Mr. Ho. There's not much of a blue glow on your braid as there is on the top of your head. You tricked me. This is outrageous. Mr. Ho, we can also make a comparison with the traces on the uniform. We will see if the traces on the uniform can match the traces on you. After leaving the furnace area, you had to show up as soon as possible to avoid suspicion. Then you discussed with Mr. Deputy Administrator about paying wages early to destroy the weapon. Right after Afu and I arrived at the ironworks and began our investigations. Therefore, you did not have the time to deal with the traces on your person. That's the reason why you were so flustered earlier. Confess, you have no more excuses. That's right, I did it. I said, why in the world would you do this? Listen, I found a method that can improve the steelmaking process. From this day on, we won't have to buy expensive coke from overseas anymore. Our cost is 1/3 lower than that of Germany and Japan, yet the quality is almost the same. Formanting, you've finally done it. I've been waiting my whole life for this day, and now our railways can finally use steel rails made by ourselves. Formanting, the test report from London is here. It says that the steel rails made with your new method have a risk of fragmentation. Fragmentation? That's impossible. We just completed tests on its mechanical properties and there were no problems at all. I'll leave the report in the office. You can take a look for yourself. This doesn't make sense. Every segment was undoubtedly fermenting. You should take a break. You haven't slept in 3 days. This test, there must be something wrong with this test report. You can ask Mr. Robinson to test it again. However, fermenting, it's still because of the coke. It's time to accept reality. Mr. Lee has already decided to continue purchasing Westphal. Fermenting, please understand that this is mainly due to consideration of production time. Heh. Well, I should congratulate you then, Supervisor Ho. Fermenting, what do you mean? You've been fooling the entire factory for months. Tell me, how many benefits have you and Robinson received from them? Fermenting, what are you doing? Don't come near me. Ah. Fermenting. You mean in a moment of desperation you accidentally killed Fermenting in self-defense? Yes. Mr. Shen, what do you reckon? Oh, God. I mean, he's doing anything to... Let's just go with self-defense, because that's what it... But... I do not think he actually acted purely out of self-defense. There are projected bloodstains on the floor and cast off... Yeah, bloodstain patterns. This shows that the murderer continued to hit Ting on the head even after he fell to the ground. Doing so was just to ensure that Ting's death was certain. Yep. Your way of disposing of the body was impossible to carry out without planning in advance. Therefore, even if you murdered Ting improv to last night, your murder as a scheme was deliberately planned. So what exactly is the truth? Ting suggested a method of steelmaking that used cheaper materials. This method reduced costs but cut off the purchaser's source of wealth. This is the reason why Supervisor Ho and Robinson concluded to falsify the colluded to falsify the report to persuade Mr. Lee to continue purchasing pricey coke so that they could make money from it. Ting suspected the report was false, but he failed to challenge the authority of Mr. Robinson, so he conducted experiments in the name of worshipping gods to prove the report was wrong. Yet Supervisor Ho took advantage of this as well to create the illusion of Ting's suicide. You traitorous leech. Your Honor, I did all of this for the ironworks. So what if I cooperated with Mr. Robinson and interfered with our self-inspection report? You think I'd be able to tamper with the reports in London? Chemical testing, phosphorus content, standards of the process. Those are all shackles that they are forcing us to wear. Even the newspapers besmirching us are owned by them. They're holding our lives by the neck. What do we have that could ever counter that? Have you no shame? Right, to build railways in China have already been divvied up amongst foreign lords. There's a tremendous profit in every single segment. We were under the spotlight after we successfully sealed several steel rail deals a while ago. It used to be runts who follow behind them. Now you're trying to flip the table over. Do you think the foreign lords will allow the ironworks to continue standing in the spotlight? By purchasing expensive coal, you're just returning a portion of the benefits back to them. Is this how you justify filling your own pocket? This way, the ironworks will survive while I can earn a little money, a way of living. You have brought me such disappointment. Have you lost your ambition to build industry in China? Ambition? Can you eat ambition to sustain yourself? With shackles everywhere, how will we ever be able to improve the prosperity of the country? However, since the test report was falsified, that means even though he could only use low-quality minerals and cheap coal, Ting did make good steel. So what? It means that foreigners aren't the only ones who can make innovations in steelmaking technology. You can't be so naive as to think that a little innovation can change the situation, can you? It's just the wistful thinking of an ant that wants to move trees. If Foreman Ting's technical innovations were really as insignificant as an ant, why would the foreign lords you speak of sabotage and falsify the test reports? Without the accumulation of each speck of innovation, how can we compete with foreign companies? With determination, even mountains can be moved. With unity, our nation is bound to thrive. I will write about Foreman Ting's story in my news report so that I can inspire more people. So many hardships in running an ironworks. We won't succeed if we choose to muddle along. A man short-sighted as you could never understand the weight of such responsibility. Someone take Ho away and get Robinson in this office immediately. Oh, God. Okay. It's all thanks to you, Mr. Shen, that the matter of Foreman Ting is settled. I was just performing my duties. It's not worth mentioning. It's too bad that Robinson ran away. Don't let him get away with this, Mr. Lee. I promise I will do my best to deal with Robinson. Mr. Shen, I would like to have a few words with Afu in private. Would that be... Afu, I will wait outside for you outside. Afu, I thought you looked familiar ever since I saw you. Could you be the son of Mr. Su? Huh? Did I look that much like him? Of course, being so knowledgeable at such a young age is quite a spitting image of him. Back when your father was the deputy administrator... Ooh, interesting. Back as the deputy administrator of the ironworks, I was just a greenhorn. It's hard to imagine what Mr. Deputy Administrator used to be like. Ha ha ha. Afu, have you seen the books in the laboratory? Yep, I read them all super attentively a long time ago. Those books were all written and translated by your father. Lost is a shame God is jealous of talent, said Explosion. Your Honor, that's all in the past. Yes, people need to look forward. Don't worry, Your Honor, I'll keep passing down the knowledge of physics. Excellent. Like father, like son. Come back and visit Hanyang often, alright? This is your home. That's cool that we get some backstory from him. Sorry to keep you waiting. Huh? There's a good smell coming off of you, Shen. Here you go. Sesame cake. You might as well help me check to see if it's laced with any knockout drugs. Ha! All done, sweet and crispy, no poison whatsoever. Huh? Aren't you gonna eat any,
我
Shen?
不许尸体。
I'm not a fan of sweets. Moreover, Afu. Okay, I am actually going to, let's see. I'm gonna save the video here because I think this is a good stopping point for, because whoops. Well, that completely exited out. I am very sorry about that, but I'm gonna end that here anyways. And, thank God I actually have this image already set up. But anyways, I'm sorry I exited out of that way too fast. But I was going to end the video there, and we can continue with the next part next week. Thank you for watching if you got this far, and I will see you all later.